Okay, we are going to be talking about finding the vertex of a parabola, finding the x and y intercepts of a parabola, find the axis of symmetry of a parabola, and then we're going to be graphing those things. After we do that, we're going to do a little bit with some stuff that you do after you graph, but this first video, we're going to focus just simply on the graphing part of it. So, first thing that we have here, important parts of a quadratic that we are going to be learning about. Your vertex, which is just going to be that either lowest or highest point there. Okay, we're going to talk about your axis of symmetry, which your axis of symmetry is that line that runs down to the middle, and it says that if there's a point here, therefore there must be a point on this other side as well. Okay, along with those, we will be talking about your x-intercepts, which are just simply where it crosses your x-axis. And then lastly, we would have your y-intercept, and your y-intercept is going to be where it crosses the y-axis. We've already done some stuff with finding x and y-intercepts. The axis of symmetry and vertex will not be new because we did it last year, but it will be newer. So let's go ahead and get started then. First thing that we have is the vertex. The vertex of a parabola indicates where the curve has changed direction. Okay, so for example, we were going down and now we have changed to going up. So that point is going to be your vertex. That would be the lowest point on a parabola. You can also start out by going up and then where it switches so that you are going to go down. That is also a vertex. That would be the highest point. Okay, when our quadratic is in the standard form, and that means y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, okay, instead of a y there, you could have a 0 equals. When it is in that standard form, though, okay, you can find and this is important, you can find the x-coordinate of the parabola by using x equals negative b over 2a. X equals negative b over 2a. So you would look at your b and your a, and you plug those in, and that will give you the x coordinate. That gives you the x coordinate. To find the y coordinate of the vertex, you are going to need to substitute that x value into the original equation and figure out what y equals. Okay, so let's just say that we simplified and we found that x equaled 3. Okay, well, I would be plugging into the original equation y equals, okay, and I'm just making this equation up, plug in a 3 for the x, plug in a 3 for the x, okay, and then you just simplify that down, and that would tell you that your y equals 4. Okay, and that's not what that equals, but I'm just making that up. So my vertex would be 3, 4 then. Okay, that would end up being my vertex. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice. You guys can flip to the back of your slides here. And when you flip, okay, this might not be as easy to flip as what I thought it was going to be. Okay, when I flip back to the back side of it, you guys are going to see our example here. So we'll start out then. Okay, finding your vertex. Okay, I've got f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. First thing we need to check. Yes, this is in standard form. Okay, so my vertex formula that I need to use is x equals negative b over 2a. Okay, so I am going to identify what is my a value, or a value for this is 1. Okay, what is my b value? Well, my b value for this is negative 4. And I'm going to plug that in. X equals negative, my b would be negative 4, over 2a, and my a is 1. Negative and a negative makes that a positive 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So I find that my x value is 2. Okay. Now that I know my x value is 2, I am going to substitute that x value back in to the equation. So I will have f of x or y, because f of x and y are the same thing, equals x squared. Now instead of an x, I'm going to substitute in the 2. Minus 4 times x. Instead of the x, I substitute in a 2. Okay. Plus 3. Everybody should be okay with that. Okay. Now I am going to just simply simplify. Y equals 2 squared is 4, minus 8, and then still just a plus 3. 4 minus 8 is negative 4 plus 3. I get that y equals negative 1. Okay, so y equals negative 1. My vertex, I have to write my vertex as a point. I have to write my vertex as a point. So the point, your points are always, in your x, y form. Okay, so what would my x value be that I would use? Well, 2 is what my x equaled. So I'd plug in a 2 for my x. And then negative 1 is what my y equaled. So negative 1 would be my y value. So our answer for this, the vertex is 2, negative 1. Okay, the vertex is 2, negative 1. So I can graph that over here, and I know that at 2, negative 1 is going to be my vertex of the parabola. Okay, so let's flip back to our other slides then. Okay, next we have the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a line that divides a figure into 2 congruent mirror images. The reflection of each point on the left side of a parabola is located on the right side as well, and vice versa. The equation for the axis of symmetry is x equals negative b over 2a. Now that should look familiar, and that should look familiar because that is the exact same formula that we used on our vertex. Okay, so basically we've already found our axis of symmetry. Our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals, and that is important, you have to have the x equals there, the x coordinate of your vertex. X equals the x coordinate of your vertex. So if we look at the example that I made up above, up here, okay, the axis of symmetry for that would be x equals 3. And that would be my axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's flip back real quick to the other side of this page here. Whoops. We get to our lecture 23 additional notes here. Okay. And you guys can see we have already found our axis of symmetry, because our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals, and it's going to be x equals whatever our x coordinate is. So our x coordinate is 2. So it is just simply x equals 2. Okay? So now, with our graph here, we have found our vertex. Our vertex was at 2, 1. 2, negative 1. Okay? I now know that my axis of symmetry is going to be this dashed line, and whatever's on the left side of this is also going to be on the right side. Okay? And we can label our axis of symmetry x equals 2. All right? And that is the first part of this. Next video, we'll go over how to find your x and y intercepts, and then we will finish this graph.